Thousands of farmlands across the United States are being ravaged by feral hogs. They sweep through like a destructive force, wiping out crops and livestock enclosures, leaving behind barren fields and millions of dollars in damage. But the hunters have stepped in. Every ambush and chase today is part of the fight to reclaim this land. Do they have what it takes to hold the final line of defense? Let's find out right now. The intense chase through the Oklahoma forest marked the opening scene of today's hunt. Jack and his team arrived at the designated location with their skilled hunting dogs. As soon as they got there, the team spread out in different directions, and the dogs immediately took off to follow the scent. After 15 minutes of searching, a familiar signal rang out, indicating that the prey had been found. The whole team rushed to the spot. Hidden in the thick grass, a wild boar was struggling to escape the tightening circle of dogs. Just a moment later, a gunshot rang out. The boar dropped on the spot with no time to flee. At that very moment, a cold and calculated ambush was unfolding, almost as if the hunter had predicted the prey's every move. Mike held his position at a familiar trail choke point, eyes locked on the slightest motion in the brush ahead. Then, a wild boar quietly emerged from the undergrowth. Without hesitation, Mike pulled the trigger the instant it stepped into view. The gunshot rang out, clean and decisive. The beast collapsed on the spot. At the same time, shots echoed from other directions, signaling that more targets have been taken down. Now comes a precision shot that couldn't have been more perfect from the track hunting team. On this trip, Track and his teammates coordinated seamlessly with their elite hunting dogs. The entire team had arrived early and moved straight into their pre-planned positions. Not long after, on the far side of the hill, one of Track's teammates spotted a wild boar being closely pursued by the dogs. Not giving a chance to fight back, he raised his rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. With a single shot, the beast dropped, taken down before it could even turn its head. An exceptional marksman. Just one precise move was enough to bring down the prey instantly. Atop the hills of Missouri, a heart-pounding chase was unfolding. Luca's hunting team had just picked up fresh tracks when suddenly a massive wild boar, easily over 400 pounds, came charging through, its frantic sprint hinting at something it was desperately fleeing from. Without hesitation, the team snapped into position. A barrage of gunfire rang out, each shot tracking the beast's every stride. The chase came to a swift end just beyond a pile of rocks and dirt. One more threat eliminated. Peace restored once again to the hills of Missouri. Wild boars in this area are incredibly cunning. Just a single second, and they vanish without a trace. Finally, the target emerged. It stepped out slowly, unaware that fate was already closing in. Taking perfect aim, Ronnie squeezed the trigger. One shot, clean and quiet, the boar dropped on a bed of dry leaves. A cold, calculated takedown, bringing an eerie end to a silent ambush. Wild boars, bloodthirsty beasts, tear through crops, attack livestock, threaten lives, and cause millions of dollars in damage each year. Hunting them from helicopters is the only way to track these elusive creatures through rugged terrain where no man can easily reach. In the sky, only skill, nerve, and pinpoint accuracy determine who survives. Do we have what it takes to bring these monsters down from above? The helicopters roared into the sky, shattering the usual calm. Within minutes, the chaos on the ground came into sharp view, plowed up fields, torn earth, and destruction everywhere. There they were, a herd of wild boars slowly forging near the edge of the field. The pilot immediately dropped altitude, bringing the chopper low over the ground, clearing the path for us to begin the chase. Mark didn't hesitate. He aimed carefully and pulled the trigger. Gunfire rang out in rapid bursts, sweeping from the outer edge deep into the center of the herd. In an instant, boars dropped one after another, their bodies scattered across the field. At the same time, Leon's helicopter was circling above, scanning for signs of movement below. The roar of the chopper echoed across the sky as the massive herd of wild boars below scattered in frenzy, panicked and desperate to escape. Inside the cabin, Leon gripped his rifle tightly, eyes locked onto the fleeing boars amid the chaos. He steadied his breath, aimed swiftly, and pulled the trigger. Gunfire thundered across the field, bullets tearing through the soil. The boars were fast, but Leon was relentless. He pursued them to the end, bringing down each one with unwavering precision. My team and I quickly moved toward the open field nearby. This time, I was in charge of taking down the wild boars. The pilot steered the helicopter closer, giving me a clear shot at the targets. I gripped my rifle tightly and fired repeatedly. Gunshots rang out as the boars dropped one after another. This was a no-mercy pursuit, swift, ruthless, and precise. Out on the lush green field, the wild boars began their rampage once again. We quickly maneuvered the helicopter into position, ready for an intense sweep. The aircraft closed in, steadily narrowing the distance to the targets. But the boars were cunning. They kept shifting direction, making it difficult to get a clean shot. Still, our marksmen were unfazed. They dealt with this kind of trickery before. Working closely with the pilot, we closed in. Gunfire erupted in rapid bursts. Within minutes, the wild boars had fallen, putting an end to the destruction of the field. There, a herd of wild boars had gathered below, as usual. We moved in closer, the roar of the rotor echoing across the sky. Startled, the boars scattered in panic, trying to flee. But we gave them no chance to escape. Closing in fast, we opened fire. The shots rang out in quick, decisive bursts, no hesitation. Within minutes, the boars lay motionless across the freshly harvested field. The helicopter veered in, closing the distance to give us a clear shot. Within minutes, gunfire erupted, echoing through the sky. Everywhere we flew, the only thing left behind were motionless bodies of them. Do you believe that without guns, we can still take down massive wild boars? With intelligence, strategy, and specialized tools, we have discovered an effective way to control this invasive species. From automatic traps and hunting dogs to innovative, traditional methods, we employ various techniques to ensure success. Join us on this thrilling and intense journey, where skill and experience determine the outcome. You'll be amazed by the unconventional yet highly effective hunting strategies we use. Wild boars are among the most voracious creatures in the wild. With an omnivorous diet and an insatiable hunger, they can consume up to 4 to 5 kilograms of food daily. Their menu includes roots, fruits, seeds, insects, frogs, small animals, and even carrion. More alarmingly, when food is scarce, they won't hesitate to attack livestock, poultry, and even human farmlands, devastating rice fields and fruit orchards. This is precisely why humans must find ways to control their population before the situation spirals out of control. Ever wondered how to take down these cunning invaders without using firearms? The answer lies in an ancient weapon, the bow and arrow, a tool that has been associated with great hunts since the dawn of time. No deafening gunshots, no lingering gunpowder, just the silent patience of hunters awaiting the perfect moment to strike. Today, we are using broadhead arrows with razor-sharp blades, designed for maximum penetration and a swift kill. 2010, not far away, a herd of wild boars emerges by a muddy pool. I carefully aim at one of them. Even after spotting it, I must not rush. Precision with a bow requires patience. My heartbeat echoes in my ears. The arrow flies through the air, striking true. The boar struggles to flee, but the fatal wound seals its fate. It collapses onto the ground, a perfect takedown, marking the beginning of an intense hunt. After a period of searching, we spot a herd of wild boars moving cautiously at the forest's edge. Without hesitation, my companion kneels, draws his bow, takes careful aim, and releases the arrow. It slices through the wind, but the cunning boar leaps into the underbrush, escaping by a hair's breadth. Determined not to let the prey slip away, we tighten our grips on our weapons and dive deeper into the chase. Arrows fly through the thick foliage, and this time, we do not allow the destructive beast to escape so easily. A few of them fall to our relentless pursuit. Our team presses deeper into new territory. Then, as if nature itself had gifted us an opportunity, a plump wild boar wanders into sight, obliviously foraging for food. A single sound is enough to startle it, freezing it in place for a split second before it bolts. But it's too late. My arrow flies like a lightning bolt, striking squarely. The creature writhes, letting out piercing cries that echo through the forest before collapsing into the lush grass. Venturing further, I stumble upon a group of nearly 10 boars gathered around a watering hole. A golden opportunity. Without hesitation, I draw my bow, aim precisely, and release. The arrow soars through the silent air, embedding itself into one of them. It tries to flee with the panicked herd, but its strength quickly wanes, and it crashes to the ground. By noon, the forest swelters under the scorching sun. We set up camp to rest, but keep our eyes fixed on the surroundings. Suddenly, a massive dark figure emerges from the distance, its heavy steps crushing dry leaves underfoot. A giant wild boar, lured by our bait, unknowingly walks into an invisible trap. A few more boars appear, but I remain focused on my main target. The bowstring is drawn tight, then released in a split second of fate. The arrow flies, piercing the massive beast body. The rest of the herd scatters in a frenzy, dust swirling in their wake. But the injured one cannot escape. Stumbling a few steps, it crashes to the ground, silent, motionless. As dusk settles, we spot another target. The first arrow misses, embedding itself into the earth, as if leaving behind an unfinished challenge. But this time, the unfortunate boar has no escape. The second arrow is loosed with unwavering determination, cutting through the air before striking true. The wind whistles past, then silence, before everything erupts in triumph. The unlucky boar breathes its last. As the hunt comes to a close, our sharp arrows, patience, and tactical prowess have led us to victory. The wilderness remains untouched, undisturbed by the echo of gunfire. In Ohio, wild boars are breeding at an uncontrollable rate. In a short time, they've spread across vast areas, destroying crops, damaging ecosystems, and threatening entire communities. Many countries have issued warnings because these animals carry dangerous diseases that can spread to livestock and even to humans. Hunters must take action immediately, not only to protect the harvest, but also to safeguard public health. If we don't control them in time, what consequences will we face, and who will bear the cost? Wild boars cause intense destruction, run extremely fast, and often hide in decaying leaf-covered forests, very difficult to track. The fight between hunter and wild boar isn't just a simple chase if you're even one beat too slow. The predator can become prey. The barking of the hunting dogs echoed ahead, growing louder with each passing second. Clearly, they had just caught the scent of a wild boar, and it was running straight toward me. Just moments later, from a hidden corner of the forest, the boar burst out. I raised my rifle, took careful aim. Boom! The shot rang out, and the boar collapsed instantly down and gunshots echoed through the forest, ringing out from multiple directions. My teammates had clearly encountered and taken down some wild boars. And this was just the beginning. It was already this intense. This hunt was truly exhilarating. I moved into the adjacent forest, still scanning for tracks when a dark figure suddenly appeared, slipping between the trees. I immediately raised my rifle, holding my position, waiting. As soon as its full body stepped out from behind the trunk, I pulled the trigger. Bang! The wild boar collapsed on the spot without even a chance to turn around. In another corner of the forest, Michael, my teammate, had also tracked the boar's trail. Just as he raised his rifle to aim, the boar dashed across. The first shot landed clean, dropping the boar on the spot. But it wasn't over yet. A second one suddenly burst out from behind. Michael didn't hesitate. He chambered another round and pulled the trigger again. As I moved toward the direction of the barking hounds, suddenly two wild boars burst out in panic, charging straight toward me. Without a second to think, I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The first shot rang out, the trailing boar dropped instantly. The hunt wasn't over yet. We were determined to take down the rest. Dark clouds began to cover the sky. We had to quickly track down the remaining boars before the rain hit. While following the trail, I suddenly heard a rustle in the bushes. Without hesitation, I raised my gun. A single shot and the boar dropped, not even getting the chance to escape. The rain had started to fall, and we had to head back. If it poured, getting out wouldn't be easy. On the way, I heard movement in the bushes. I immediately raised my gun, took aim. A dark figure darted past. I fired. But I missed. The wild boar changed direction, charging straight toward me. I quickly repositioned, cut it off. The second shot rang out. This time, it had no chance to escape. I never thought I'd see the day I'd have to pick up a gun and hunt wild boars. Until now, that had always been the job of professional hunters. As for me, I just wanted a peaceful life, plant some corn, raise a few goats. But then the boars came and tore through the fields right before harvest. Every night, we'd hear them digging, ramming fences, wrecking everything. I couldn't take it anymore. None of us could just stand by. Here in San Marcos, everyone now sees wild boars as public enemy number one. So we decided to organize a hunt to settle the score. After a night of tearing through the fields, the boars usually retreat into the forest to rest. So we head into the woods early, gun gripped tightly in one hand, the other pushing branches aside, and try to stay close to the sound of the barking dogs. Honestly, this whole thing is still pretty new to me, so every step is cautious. I can't afford to be careless. Suddenly, one of the dogs flushes a boar out of the bushes. No time to think, I raise the gun and pull the trigger. The first shot was rushed. The boar turned and ran. With the hunting dog right on its heels, it quickly tired out. That was all I needed. I fired again and claimed my first trophy. A few hundred meters later, I ran into Ashley, my teammate, at a gentle slope. Ashley pointed to the right. I looked over and was shocked to see a massive wild boar lying nearby. Before I could react, the boar suddenly leapt up and charged straight at Ashley. I only had time to shout, "Watch out," before firing repeatedly. Everything happened in a split second, but luckily, the gunshots scared it off. Ashley and I watched the direction the boar fled, our hearts pounding like they'd burst out of our chests. That was way too close. That thing must have weighed at least 120 kilograms, A single charge could have seriously injured, even killed a grown man. Still shaken from that encounter, Ashley and I soon came across another boar, just as big. We had to be more careful this time. We split up and took positions on either side, guns aimed forward. The moment the boar dashed between us, the air exploded with sharp, rapid gunfire. It should have been the perfect moment to take down another destroyer, but it all happened too fast. The boar, running it up to 40 kilometers h, managed to dart down the slope and disappear. Even so, Ashley and I didn't give up. We kept sweeping the area. Soon, we heard barking from the northwest. No words were needed. We both knew what that meant. After being charged by one boar and missing another, Ashley was fired up with rage. He rushed forward and with a single, clean shot, brought down the beast hiding in the dense brush. By mid-afternoon, the hunting dogs were still going strong. I have to say, I was incredibly proud of these buddies. Not only were they great at sniffing out wild boars, they also wore them out chasing them down. My job now was to finish the job. Bang! Another pest fell. A smooth, satisfying win. I don't know if it was luck or not, but even though we only ran into solitary boars today, each one was huge, fat, and round. Just look at this one. It's got to be at least 100 kilograms. Looks like it had been chased so hard by the dogs, it had no strength left, not even enough to be wary of our guns. This one was easy. I aimed right behind his head and pulled the trigger without hesitation. It dropped on the spot. At another plot of land, Ashley and I continued to spot wild boars. This time, we silently split up and took our ambush positions. I gripped my gun tightly, eyes locked on the bushes ahead. I couldn't wait any longer. I fired a shot to lure the prey out. It took the bait, and there could only be one outcome, taking a bullet and collapsing beside bushes.